All right, buckle up, because this one's heavy, but it's real. And if you've lived even a little bit of life, you've either made this mistake yourself or had it done to you. And either way, you already know deep down it changes everything. It's like there's a before and after. And once it happens, she's never going to look at you the same. And I'm not talking about forgetting her birthday or leaving your socks on the floor. I'm talking about the kind of mistake that kills attraction quietly, like pouring water on a flame. And the wild part is, most men don't even realize they did it until she's already emotionally packed her bags and left. So let's talk about it, because this is one of those universal truths that will hit you no matter where you live, how old you are, or what kind of relationship you're in. It's bigger than culture, bigger than personality. It's about psychology, human wiring, the kind of stuff you can't negotiate with. The mistake is this: the moment you stop being respected, you stop being desired. And respect isn't about money or muscles or how loud you can talk. Respect is about presence, about backbone, about showing up as a man with a center, a spine, a pulse. And the second you hand that over, the second you shrink yourself to keep her, the second you start begging for validation, the second you start prioritizing comfort over truth, she sees you differently. And here's the cruel part: once she sees you as weak, she can't unsee it. Her brain files you under safe but not sexy. And it's a tough box to climb out of. You ever notice how, in the beginning, she laughs at all your jokes? She looks at you like you're 10 feet tall. She brags about you to her friends. But then over time, something shifts. She gets quieter, colder. The spark feels gone, and you're sitting there wondering what you did wrong, and the answer is usually simple. You stopped being yourself and started being her emotional butler. You thought love meant always agreeing, always giving in, always smoothing things over. But love without tension becomes friendship. Attraction without edge becomes boredom. And boredom kills desire faster than betrayal sometimes. Because betrayal at least creates emotion. Boredom creates nothing. Let me break it down scientifically. Because attraction isn't just feelings, it's chemistry, it's wiring. Women are wired to be drawn to strength, not fake alpha chest pounding strength, but the kind of strength that says, I know who I am and I'm not afraid to lose you. That's intoxicating. That's what makes her stomach flip. But the second you start orbiting her like she's the sun and you're just happy to be in her light, the polarity dies. And without polarity, there's no spark. Without spark, there's no desire. Without desire, she still loves you, but she doesn't want you. And that's a brutal truth. Most guys find out the hard way. I'll give you an example. Imagine she's upset with you. Maybe she's throwing shade, testing you, being difficult. And instead of calmly holding your ground, you panic, you grovel, you over-explain. You try to fix everything instantly. And in that moment, she doesn't feel safe. She doesn't feel drawn. She feels like she's dealing with a boy in a man's body. Because deep down, she wants to know that when life gets messy, you won't crumble. And if you crumble under her mood swings, how are you going to... Let me ask you something harsh. When's the last time you did something purely for yourself? Not to please her, not to keep the peace, not to impress anyone. Just because it lit you up inside, if you can't remember. That's the problem. Because if you abandon yourself, she'll eventually abandon you. Maybe not physically, maybe not today, but emotionally. And once she checks out emotionally, the relationship is already on life support. And here's the catch. She won't tell you straight up. She'll just slowly give you less energy, less time, less affection, until one day you wake up next to someone who feels like a stranger. And listen, this mistake doesn't just kill relationships, it kills attraction in dating too. You ever been on a date where you could tell the guy was trying way too hard, laughing at everything she said, agreeing with everything, basically auditioning for boyfriend of the year, and you just know she went home that night and texted her friends, he's nice, but I didn't feel it. That's what happens when you lead with approval instead of authenticity. Nobody feels it, not even you. Humor me for a second. Think about the last time you were around someone who didn't need you. Like they enjoyed your company, but they weren't desperate for it. How magnetic was that? How much did you find yourself leaning in, wondering about them, craving more? That's exactly how attraction works. Desire isn't born out of certainty. It's born out of mystery, out of tension, out of the unknown. And when you erase all the mystery by constantly performing for approval, you also erase the desire. So here's the ugly truth most people won't say out loud. She'll forgive mistakes, she'll forgive flaws, she'll forgive bad days, but she won't forgive weakness of spirit, because weakness of spirit makes her feel unsafe, unattracted, uninspired. And that's the one thing that flips the switch permanently. Once it flips, it doesn't flip back. Not really. You can rebuild trust, you can rebuild habits, but you can't rebuild raw desire if she's already seen you as a man who lost himself. And let me add this, because someone needs to hear it, the opposite mistake is just as bad. Some guys hear this and swing too far. They think strength means being a cold dictator, never listening, never bending, always being in control. And that's not strength either, that's insecurity in disguise. Real strength is calm, steady, flexible but unbreakable. Like a tree in the wind, it bends but it doesn't snap. That's what makes her feel safe. That's what keeps the fire alive. Now, if you're sitting there realizing, damn, I've already made this mistake. I've already lost her respect. I've already begged, pleaded, turned myself into a doormat. Is it over? And the truth is, sometimes yes. Sometimes once the switch flips, it's done. But sometimes the only way to know is to rebuild yourself first. Not for her, but for you. Because even if you don't get her back, you get yourself back. And that's the real win. Because women can leave you, jobs can leave you, friends can leave you, but the one thing you live with forever is you. And if you respect you, the world starts to reflect that back. And if you're still here listening to me rant about all this, then it means you probably needed this reminder, and maybe you're thinking about your own story right now. That moment where things shifted, where she looked at you differently, where you realized something broke that you couldn't glue back together, and I want you to sit with that. Not to beat yourself up, but to recognize the lesson. Because if you can learn it once, you don't have to repeat it again. And maybe, just maybe, your story will remind someone else of theirs, and they'll feel a little less alone. Because at the end of the day, that's all this is about. Respect, presence, desire, they all flow from the same root. And the root is you being whole in yourself. If you've got that, you can lose a fight, you can make mistakes, you can mess up, and she'll still see you as a man. But the second you lose that, the second you betray yourself, she'll never see you the same. And honestly, why should she? Because if you don't have your own back, how can she trust you to have hers? So yeah, that's the one mistake. Not some little slip up, not forgetting a text, not saying the wrong thing, but losing yourself. Because once you do, the love might stay. But the desire dies, and relationships without desire are just friendships with paperwork. So if you take anything from me today, let it be this. Never trade your self-respect for connection, because the cost is always higher than the reward. Always. And maybe you're sitting here thinking about that one time you lost yourself, that one time you begged, that one time you shrank. And if it stings, good, let it sting. Because pain is proof you're still alive. Pain is proof you can still grow. And growth is how you make sure the next time she never sees you that way again. The next time she looks at you with fire in her eyes. Not pity, not boredom, but fire. And that's the kind of energy that can't be faked. It's earned. And it starts with you choosing you every single time. That's it. That's the truth. Raw and uncut. And I know someone out there is replaying a moment in their head right now, maybe even wanting to say it out loud. So go ahead, because sometimes the only way to heal is to put the story in the open. And who knows? Maybe your story is exactly what somebody else needs to hear tonight.